the beginning, I switched from this is what I've been called to do, this is my job, it's fine, I know what I'm doing, I'll be fine, to all of a sudden thinking, no, this is awful. I remember the first time, the first few deaths we had, whoever was in charge said, we won't be having any visitors come in. Even when they're end of life, we can't have anybody coming in. You've got to break the news over the phone. I don't think anything prepares you to tell the wife of a 45-year-old who had been working in a care home and caught COVID, who'd got 2 small children. My name is Annabelle. You have no idea who I am, but I've been caring for your husband for the last 2 days. He's on a ventilator, as you well know. There's nothing else we can do for him, and I think he's going to die. And it wasn't just me having this conversation. I was sat on the nurse's station next to 3 other people having this conversation with family members, and it was the same over and over again, and they'd die, and next, literally, quickly turn the bed around, next. Felt like a conveyor belt. Felt surreal. I didn't feel we could uphold patients' privacy and dignity as well, because the curtains, as you know, don't hide the sound. But we didn't have side rooms to put patients in. We just had to give end-of-life care as best we could in the bays, surrounded by possibly other awake patients. So it was traumatising for the other patients. It wasn't personalised. We couldn't be sat with the family and be anticipatory.
As the first wave began, there was the rumour starting that some of us may be asked to be redeployed. We had an email saying there was going to be a meeting, and my manager called me to say that she'd been in a meeting that morning at 11 a.m. She'd been in the meeting until 1. She called me at 1:30. She had till 3 o'clock to halve the service, and I was one of the people that was on the list to go. I had a couple of days to close my caseload, and they put us on this online training, such as injection technique, diabetes training. They said, just hurry up and close your caseload. So you can imagine me ringing people up. And I had this mum who had lost a baby at 4 weeks, and I'd seen her in the street. She'd got her baby's ashes under the pram. And I said to her, I'll come and see you. And she was desperate for it. And I couldn't go. I couldn't even get hold of her to tell her I couldn't go.
During the first wave of COVID, the care I was able to give my patients felt quite compromised because we were doing everything over the phone. And you know in your head and heart that that's not a good assessment of someone's mental health or risk. It doesn't feel compassionate to be talking to someone who's just tried to kill themselves over the phone, or having a discussion about, could you go home first and let me ring you later? Doesn't feel very validating of their experience. I'm also really mindful that we're only really doing half the role, because, you know, there's a real misconception that psych liaison's all about people wanting to kill themselves, and you work in the emergency department with people who've made an attempt on their life. But the majority of my work is actually with people who had already had a mental illness, who also had another physical health condition that required additional support whilst they were in hospital. And that ward work stopped, like the work with mothers having just given birth and doing the assessments around depression. That all stopped. So it almost felt like we were shortchanging patients. I think the most distressing thing was just the worry about how many people were suffering that we just didn't know about, a kind of unknown really, because we just knew that our mental health units were decanted really quickly. I had nurses telling me that worked in the community that they were told to cleanse, and use that word, cleanse, to cleanse their caseload of people. And it was always that underlying fear of, what are we going to find when this is over?